Welcome back, Albert here, and today we will be looking at part 3 of Tar-Aldarion's tale. If you missed part 1 and 2, please check them out. Let's begin. The year is now 873 SA. Aldarion and Erendis have just married, and their daughter was born, Ancalame. Their marriage was not a happy one. Although he had married, Aldarion could not change his ways or dull his desire for the sea, and when Ancalame was only 4 years old, Aldarion would leave them and set himself to work on a great ship. A vision came to him of a mighty vessel like a castle with tall masts and great sails like clouds, bearing men and stores enough for a town. Turofantu, meaning the wooden whale, was its nickname among the men down at the shipyard because of its mighty ship ribs during construction, but its true name was Hyrelodi, meaning haven finder. In 877 SA, Aldarion, leaving Erendis in tears, set sail again from Romena, and again he went away from Númenor without the blessing of Tar-Meneldur or his family, and Erendis was not there this time with a broth of Olir. Aldarion left with a troubled brow. A broth was offered in the end by a captain's wife, but this did not lessen the shadow in his heart. This broke Erendis' heart. As the years went on, she suffered greatly from his voyages, especially their daughter, but that is a story for another day. It was the spring of 882 SA, on a cloudy day, when Aldarion would return, after a 5-year voyage, later than he had promised. There was no one there to greet him, and he found his home in Armnelos shut. He soon found his wife and his daughter, but they were cold and indifferent to him. But this did not hinder his errand, although he would never set foot in Emeria again, and it was on the same journey he rode to Armnelos to see his father. Standing before the king, he delivered a sealed letter, a letter from the elf king Gil-galad. Aldarion bowed and left his father's chamber in silence. Within the letter, Tar-Meneldur learned of a new shadow arising in the east, beseeching him for aid. He learned of the great deeds of his son, Gil-galad, thanking him for sending his son over the many years, aiding them in their defense of the shadow, the greatest of elf friends that now is among men. Tar-Meneldur sat long and hard in thought and counsel, seeking advice from the Council of Scepter, a council composed of members of each division of Númenor, whom only gave advice to the king during this period of history. Many days passed, and Aldarion stood once more in front of the king. Aldarion was weary and demanded his daughter be returned to him. She is of the line of Elros, and no other descendant will you have through your son. It was during this meeting his father would shock everyone. He had come to his decision. Calming his son, he then declared, taking up a parchment, written in his own hand, "Therefore first, for the honour of his well-beloved son, and second, for the better direction of the realm in courses which his son more clearly understands, the king has resolved that he will forthwith resign the sceptre to his son, who shall now become Tar-Aldarion the king." It wasn't long after that Tar-Meneldur would send word for Erendis and their daughter to be returned to Armnelos and to Aldarion, but unfortunately only Ancalame would return. Erendis was cold and stubborn towards Aldarion and did not love him anymore, and finally this was seen as a separation of Aldarion and Erendis, a couple forever separated by wood and sea. By this time, Erendis had truly earned the associated meaning of her name, Lonely Bride. The following spring, Aldarion was crowned king as Tar-Aldarion in the year 883 SA. Little is known of Erendis after this time, but it is hinted at an old age of 214 years, in the year 985 SA, she journeyed to the haven of Romena and perished in the water. This, of course, would coincide with a returning voyage of Tar-Aldarion. The years passed swiftly, and not much is known of Tar-Aldarion's future voyages. However, in the year 892 SA, something significant occurred that would change Númenorian history forever. Tar-Aldarion would declare his daughter heir to the throne, the first female heir. This was made possible by Tar-Aldarion replacing the principal law of succession with a new one stating that the crown would no longer go to a male heir exclusively, but to the eldest child of any gender. One notable event occurred in 1000 SA. Sauron, alarmed by the growing power of the Númenorians, chooses Mordor as a land to make his stronghold. He begins to build Barad-dûr. Aldarion ruled on until 1075 of the Second Age, passing the scepter of kingship on to his daughter. Aldarion would live on for another 23 years, dying in the year 1098 SA, at the age of 398 years old. Thus ends the life of Tar-Aldarion. Aldarion's life was full of adventure, exploration, hardship, and growth. He truly represented the greatness of the Númenor and what they would become in the future. His experiences gave us the first insights into how Númenorians looked at seafaring and the effects it had on the native peoples of Middle-earth, the beliefs they had with the Valar, their system of government, and much, much more. His accomplishments came at a heavy price, with his marriage and family. This is very apparent. And although he was a great Númenorian and king, he failed as a husband, and in the early days, as a father. Personally, I see Aldarion as a man before his time, or a man with more ambition than sense. He was cursed with a vision of greatness of the Númenor that would never be satisfied. And rereading the story of Aldarion and Erendis, I truly feel sorry for his wife. And I think Aldarion was better off single. That's it, my friends. As you can tell, there is so much more I could talk about in respect of Tar-Aldarion and his life. And I will be focusing on Erendis herself and her life, and their daughter as queen, not to mention the exploits of the Guild of Venturers. So in a way, Aldarion's story will continue. There is so much to get through. But we will do it, and we will do it together. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I have enjoyed making it. Please comment, subscribe, like, and share this content. And please feel free to send me on requests about certain topics you would like to hear me talk about. Goodbye for now, and may the light of Erendil guide your way.